Film holds a unique possibility of relations between space and time. There's always this direct link between what's in front of the camera and the film itself. There is a permanent mark on the emulsion. Once you start to work with it, you're basically destroying it. Usually I start with some kind of a hook. I get attracted to a story, a person, a place, and then start to dig around it. And I start to expand the circles around that subject matter. La Solitude started actually with an encounter with Georges Méliès' film from 1899 called The Dreyfus Affair. That was quite shocking for me to learn that history of cinema and history of Zionism are somehow interconnected. I decided to go to French Guiana to film in Devil's Island, where Dreyfus was sent for a life imprisonment, and ended up making a film which is about all those hidden layers within this landscape. The history of colonialism, the history of French Guiana, the history of the penal colony there. But also at the same time, I think it's important for me to look at the historical nature of my medium of choice. So if I decide to make a film, then it necessarily has to be about film as well. The materials that I use, the methods that I use, because I don't think you can look at something without looking at yourself, looking at something. So all my works are kind of hybrids. If you look at the history of cinema, you can see that the cinematic camera is an evolution of a revolver. Janssen in 1874 built a cinematic apparatus that is based on a gun that you hold in front of your eye and pull a trigger to film. Military action and filmic action go hand in hand. In Belated Measures, I started researching films in the Lehi Archives, trying to figure out what I see in them, when they were filmed.
כשנון התקשר, הייתי עסוק בפרויקט אחר. ובכלל חשבתי לקחת פסק זמן מאומנות בשל מה שהבחנתי כתשישות יצירתית. ובכל זאת, המחשבה על הסרטים לא הניחה לי.
I want to have the time to develop my own thoughts about everything that's in front of me. And somehow the digital world does not allow me that. I think also using film nowadays is a form of resistance to a capitalistic way of thinking. In 2008, I requested archival material from Israeli TV that depict the clashes and riots that took place in Israel surrounding the closure of a textile factory, the biggest in the country at the time, called Ata. And actually those materials were among the last materials to be shot on film before the TV channel moved to shoot on video. And that, not accidentally, parallels economical and social shifts that took place in the mid-80s in Israel, basically the collapse of the welfare state. Once you're no longer using the medium as intended, you use it as art, suddenly other meanings, other possibilities of that medium emerge. My parents, both of them were Holocaust survivors, so I grew up with stories that are not discussed, but you know that they are there. And you had to work really hard in order to piece bits and pieces together in order to get a sense of what happened and why we ended up where we are. And later, during my army service, I was an investigator in the military police, and that taught me a lot about research and about evidence and how to connect the dots to create a story. But that story is not necessarily the right story, but it's a possible story. That was the first time I got a camera and started working with images as evidence, as information, as documents. All my projects deal with a specific historical event that left some kind of trace. They can be documents, they can be monuments, they can be built environments or architecture, they can be acoustic traces.
יצא יפה. איפה עזה?
הכל זה עזה.
כל זה? כן. הרבישו.
יש להם הרבה אש.
הם מומחים בזה.
מה זה? מאיפה אתם?
תל אביב.
The fact that you're so close to Gaza and the fact that you have this unique environmental situation that allows birds to feed on one side of the border and nest on the other side of the border, it hints at the complexity of the conflict. The sky is contaminated with drones, military balloons, and explosive kites. Groups of tourists go there to take a look at Gaza.
שהולכים מכות ביניהם, אתה יודע, והורגים אחד את השני. שוברים להם את המקור, ברגע שאתה שובר להם את המקור הוא לא יכול לאכול ואז הוא מת. ידעת? ששני ציפורים רבים על נקבה.
And the soldiers of course are there patrolling, but also talking, making coffee, chilling out. This place holds many different histories and narratives that are not visible in the landscape itself, and there is this compression of stories, of potentiality there. For me, the past is not something that occurred and is finished, but actually the past is continuously being negotiated and shaped, and that's why I'm so attracted to places, stories, people, things that carry some kind of link through time.